It has been one whole year since I quit teaching and I haven't talked about anything, so this may be a long video, but I'm gonna just talk about everything, why I quit, what my new job is, and what the last year has been like. Okay, so I may be yapping for a while, so I will leave time marks down below if you want to skip around, but basically I'm just going to talk about how I got into teaching, what my experience was like, the job hunting process, what my new job is, and then like what the last year has been like. So if you are unaware, I was a high school teacher for 4 years, and not to get technical, I always say that I taught for 4 years, but I actually was a substitute teacher for 1 year and then an actual like teacher of the classroom for 3 years, so 4 total, but if that makes sense. So basically I got my degree in journalism from the University of Texas at Austin, hook 'em horns. I always thought that I wanted to be a news reporter. Well, not always, but during college I did tons of internships for newspapers, online media, and I thought that was what I was going to do. Long story short, I got into a fellowship that was a year long after college, and I just literally couldn't do it. I was working for the Dallas Morning News covering politics and government in Austin at the Capitol. I was getting paid nothing. I was super stressed out. I just didn't like what I was doing. Really conflicting because I had just spent 4 years studying journalism, all of my internships, I had so many connections, I spent so much money, I took out a lot of student loans to get this degree, and here I was freshly out of college, not wanting to do what I had just put so much time, effort, and money into. I ended up quitting the fellowship 9 months into it and moving back home to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I honestly had no clue what I wanted to do, but when you graduate college, I think you have like 6 months before you have to start paying back your student loans, and so I had deferred my payments. I was still paying rent on my Austin apartment. There's honestly just a lot going on, and I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I knew that I needed to get a job ASAP. So I decided to start substitute teaching. I had a cousin who was a teacher, and she suggested that I do that. Now, this was 2019, so before COVID, and basically if you were like breathing, you could be a substitute teacher. So it was pretty easy to get hired, and I started subbing in April of 2019 for the school district that I went to for K through 12. And honestly, it wasn't terrible, but substitute teaching and teaching are very, very different. And so as I started subbing, I kind of thought, what if I just become a teacher? Now, things that I was thinking. I wanted to have freedom to travel. I love traveling. I love solo travel. And I thought the setup of having all of the summers and holidays, quote, off would fit well. I also knew somewhat about a teacher loan repayment program. I liked the hours of getting up early and being off by like 3 p.m. And honestly, I thought that it was what I wanted to do. So I went into an alternative certification program, which basically is for people who already have a college degree but need to get my voice cracked, have a college degree but need to get all of the credentials to become a teacher. Every single state is different, but I'm here in Texas, so the program that I did was Texas Teachers of Tomorrow. What I recommend, honestly, and this could just be because of the time, the COVID time, but this program was a little chaotic. It was expensive. It was like $5,000. And when the pandemic hit, like the year after I got certified, Texas was like paying for teachers to get certified, but some of those ended up being laid off years later. So long story short, I at the time did this program, and the way that the program worked is that you were actually a full-time teacher during your first year while you were still doing all the requirements, and you had until the end of that year to take your test. So my first school year was the fall of 2020. So COVID had happened at the end of the previous school year, and my first year of teaching was not normal because the first 6 weeks was completely virtual. So we would go into school and teach on Zoom, and honestly, we'd only teach for like 30 minutes, and the other half of each class period was asynchronous time. So we just put work up online and communicate with kids through Canvas or online systems. So after that, kids started coming into person, but it was optional. And so honestly, most of my class sizes, my whole first year of teaching, were between 4 and like 6 kids. A bigger class maybe had like 7 or 8, but I really did not have a normal school year. Now, my first year of teaching, I think wasn't terrible, but I did kind of get a feeling that I did not want to do this for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life. But honestly, year 1 was not that bad. Year 2 is where shit hit the fan. So year 2 was like my first real year of teaching. The kids were back in person. Everything was normal. There were no more COVID days. We weren't wearing masks. Like, it was truly a normal school year. And let me just say that shit rocked me. The kids were so badly behaved. Honestly, my admin was a little chaotic, and there was just so much going on, and I truly got the entire burden of being a teacher, where you're working before school, after school, on the weekends, your lesson planning and grading over the breaks, over the summers, and there was just so much going on. And I think during year 2 is when I really was like, I do not want to do this anymore. I was getting very stressed out. It was starting to take a toll on my mental health. But again, how could I quit after I had literally just pivoted from journalism to teaching and paid all this money again to get my teacher certification? And I was already getting that feeling. I was kind of feeling guilty, but at the same time, life is short, and I don't want to spend 40 plus hours a week, 30 years of my life doing something that I do not like doing. I understand that not everybody has the privilege of having a job that they like, but I was just really seeking something at least that wasn't going to take a serious toll on my mental health. Okay, I'm editing this video that I literally just filmed, and a couple of things that I forgot to mention, so just like an editor's note. I talked about a teacher loan repayment program, and basically I did not get any of my loans forgiven because the way that program works is you have to make 120 loan payments, aka 10 years of payments, and then you start getting your loans forgiven. Or if you have a Perkins loan, which is a very specific loan that I actually do have, you have to teach for 5 years in a Title I or a lower income school district, which I did not teach at. So I did not get any of my loans repaid, unfortunately. Also, in my video, I know I talk a lot about bad student behavior being a major reason. Let me just say that there actually were a lot of kids who were genuinely so sweet, and I really do love and miss, but I think overall, there's just a noticeable lack of good behavior amongst all students, not just the ones at my school, after COVID, because they had just been home for so long. And when you miss out on those formative years of being in school, it really does impact you. Like, reading levels were so low, writing was low, everything was so bad. And my school was always, I want to say, like, trying to save face, and incidents would happen and they wouldn't tell the teachers. There was an incident where I think 16 or 17-year-old boy assaulted, like beat up a female teacher at school, and I had to hear that through the grapevine. They did not inform teachers. Another incident like around the corner from my school where 2 kids were arguing and one of their parents brought a gun. I can go on and on, but there were just a lot of incidents that happened. There were always school fights. I would say some of it was normal, some of it was just too much, but the main issue was also that my admin would not inform us, and so I just honestly did not feel safe because they were more concerned about the school having a certain appearance. In this school district, I would say that my high school was always known as being like the best one, quote unquote best, and they were really trying to not appear a certain way. So not all kids were bad, but there definitely were a lot more bad behaviors and things going on than there were before COVID, on top of my admin just honestly sucking and not informing teachers. So that's my editor's note. Also, just being a young woman teacher, honestly, a lot of the disrespect did come from boy students. Lots of the athletes, just the way that they would talk to me versus talking to a male teacher or a coach was just so different. There were so many times I'd have to just like hold my tongue, because why am I getting underpaid, overworked, risking getting shot on the job, dealing with so much stress and anxiety, and on top of that getting disrespected by teenagers? Like, it was just not my vibe. If I would have acted the way that some of these students acted when I was in school, my parents would have beat the hell out of me. Like, and it's not their fault, but like lots of these students just honestly did not have parents who disciplined them. Their parents were more their friends, or they just didn't care. And so I'm not blaming the students for their behavior, but yeah, there was just always a lot going on. But there were definitely a couple of kids who were really, really respectful, but overall it was just a complete shit show post-COVID. Ask any teacher who taught through COVID. So year 2, the thing that really just made me honestly want to quit teaching, and I've talked about this in a previous video, was I had a friend who was a fellow teacher at a school nearby, and he was shot while teaching. I'm not really gonna get into that, but like, long story short, it kind of like clicked, like they really don't care about you. The way that school and school system dealt with that school shooting, as far as helping teachers and students in their mental health, and just the aftermath of that is still going on to this day, years later, was just a complete shit show. And I definitely don't want to minimize teachers who firsthand have been in that situation, but it was weird because even though I wasn't firsthand experiencing that, just kind of seeing what had happened through my friend and other friends at that school who I knew. I also substitute taught at that school a lot, and the hallway that it happened on was the English hallway, which I was an English teacher. There were just so many things like clicking through my mind, and I don't want to like misuse the word, but I think I kind of had like secondhand PTSD, where I would get so nervous anytime I was in my classroom and I heard a loud noise or a door slam, or there was like a drill that they didn't tell us about, and it was just really, really increasing the anxiety and stress I was already experiencing. So amongst other things of just bad behavior and just lots of chaos in the classroom, I started loosely job hunting during year 2, but I was not getting anything. I, on and off for the next 2 years, yes, 2 years of wanting to quit, was applying to jobs and just nothing was clicking, and I honestly was really, really, really down bad. I would take like 3 or 4 hour naps every single day after school just to shut my mind off. I would like drive home in silence, crying, just because there was just so much going on. And I honestly like was starting to kind of feel like a shell of myself. Like, there were moments over the weekends that I would like come back to life, but for the most part, I was just trying to get through every single day. Like, I wasn't living, I was surviving. And the only time that I would kind of start to feel a little bit like myself was during a holiday break or the summer. But again, that anxiety would always start to creep up the closer it got. Like, I was just not living life the way that I wanted to. Like, ask any of my friends, I was always so miserable, and that's all I talked about, was how much I hated teaching and wanted to quit. And I feel like it was just in all aspects of my life just bringing me down. Your body will tell you if something is wrong, and I was like physically feeling it. I had an eye twitch. There was just so many other things like going on that I just couldn't do it, and I would have almost like daily breakdowns, anxiety attacks, and I just literally felt like I could not teach anymore. So fast forward, we're into year 3 of teaching, year 4 total in the classroom, and I was getting desperate. The summertime came again, and I told myself, you are not going back to school in the fall. So I was applying to dozens and dozens and dozens of jobs, trying to just find whatever I could find. And there was one particular job that I came across on Instagram. So all in the background, I had been doing YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, social media since 2018, and I always loved creating content. but it never really seemed like it could actually be my full-time job. So I come on Instagram and there's an account that I follow and I saw that they are hiring. So this is May of 2023. I applied to the job and all summer long I'm just like anxiously waiting to hear back from this job. I was still applying to other jobs, but basically like all my money was on getting this job. The summer is ticking by and I still don't have a job, and I have bills to pay. I have rent, I have a car note. I can't just quit a job without having another job. And so again, that same feeling I had felt as always, where the summer is coming to an end and I still didn't have a job. So sadly, I had not heard back from this social media job and your girl had to go back to work. So teachers report back to school like a week or week and a half before school actually starts. So it was like the first week of August, and after swearing up and down that I was never going back in that classroom, like I had actually taken home a lot of my stuff before the summer started, because I told myself, you are never going back to that classroom. Guess who had to go back to that classroom because she still did not have a job. So I go back for the first teacher workday, and I think I like immediately had a breakdown. Being back in the classroom and the same thing over and over, I just couldn't do it. So I go back to work for 2 days and there's not a lot going on. You're kind of just like mostly on your own, setting up your classroom. Nobody's really like monitoring you. You're not really lesson planning, and I just physically couldn't do it. I was getting those sick feelings again and just crying, and I knew I couldn't do it. It's a Wednesday, day 3 into this new contract, and I woke up that morning and I told myself, you are quitting today. I did not have a job. I had no job offers. I hate to say this, but I had no money in my savings account. But I woke up, it was Wednesday, August 9th, 2023, and I said, you are quitting that job today. So I woke up and I ran 5 miles, and the whole time I was running, I was thinking about what I would say and like the order of people I would tell, and I knew that I had to write my resignation letter. So all that was kind of just in my mind as I was running. I'm getting ready to go to school and I have it set that you are going to quit. So quick backstory, the way that my paychecks worked is I was kind of a little bit back paid. So even if I quit my job that day, I still had paychecks through the end of September, just the way that our paychecks worked. So basically my plan was to quit, and I had 2 more paychecks because teachers get paid monthly, and I had to figure it out. So no job, no savings, but I was going to quit. I get ready to go to my school to quit, and I'm not even kidding. As I am walking out of my apartment to go quit my job, I get the email from my current job and I get the job offer. When I tell y'all, I screamed and I wanted to start crying, and like the timing of it was so crazy. And so basically that day I accepted that job offer. I went to school, I wrote my letter of resignation, I told who I needed to tell that I was quitting, I got my stuff, I left my ID badge on my desk, I left, and I never went back to that school. Now, am I proud of quitting on the spot? No, but I kind of felt like that was the only option. Like I was up to here, my mental health was down here, and honestly, I feel like that was the best thing to do, because at that point, there was about a week until the new school year started, and I figured it was best just to cut the cord then and there, and my school at least had a week to find a replacement or rearrange the classes, and there was no point of me starting a new school year and quitting. So some jobs, I think it's more formal to give a 2 or 3 week notice, but teaching is a little bit different, and in my case, I was done. I quit on the spot and I left, and I did not care if they revoked my teaching license, which they can do if you break a contract, but I never ever planned on going back to the classroom. I can't even describe the relief I felt. And honestly, Another editor's note is the process of how I got the job. So I saw the job application and I filled out a form, and then after they saw my resume, basically I was given a series of tasks to do. So my job is mostly filming like food content and activities, and so I had to go to a couple of different local restaurants and take photos. I had to film, edit, and piece together like in the same style that my company does, like an Instagram reel. What else? There was a couple of questions. I had to write a caption. So basically I went through like a whole like sample of like a start to finish like Instagram carousel post, a reel, a TikTok, and all of that. And after I submitted like all of my stuff in the form, I didn't hear back from them for a couple of months. But essentially what honestly really did help me get the job is that I had been doing social media for years, and so I didn't know this at the time, but like all of my content that I was posting was essentially also my resume. They saw my YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok. They could see how I edited photos and videos and how I did voiceovers and everything. So truly me having a hobby in social media did pay off, because that was like the proof is in the pudding that I knew what I was doing. I was super passionate about it, and even now I obviously still create my own content. So I do social media full-time for my company, and I also do it for myself. I do personally make money from my social media, not enough for it to be a full-time job, and so I've just been taking all my skills, learning, growing every single day, and applying that to my job and my personal. But basically that's how I got it. It honestly was kind of random. So if you want to get into social media, the first thing I always tell people is you should be posting online. Sometimes, not trying to be mean, but people say they want my job or how did I get your job, and they've never posted anything. So if you want to work in social media, you need to be posting on social media and follow the accounts that you want to work for. That's how I found my job, is that I was following them. So I would say first start posting, learn, get better, and follow the types of companies or brands that you want to work for. Be very consistent with your content, and yeah, that's how I got my job. And usually these smaller types of jobs, they're not going to be posted on like LinkedIn or Indeed unless it's for like a big global company. So you definitely just have to kind of be looking at what they're posting, and all of it is about timing. Oh, another question I get a lot is, do I need a college degree for my job? No. So technically, no. I think everybody at my job does have a bachelor's degree, but technically, no, you don't need one. But if I hadn't gone to college and gotten my degree, I for sure would not be where I'm at. I learned all about social media. I picked up my first DSLR camera in college. I learned how to edit photos and videos, and that was really where my true interest for posting on social media started. So technically, no, I don't need a degree, but if I hadn't gone to college and got my degree, I 100% would not be doing what I'm doing now. So sometimes life redirects you, but everything happens for a reason, and even if you don't necessarily use your specific degree that you got, you definitely picked up skills that are going to transfer into other careers and other areas of your life. I was a little bit nervous quitting such a stable, respectable job where I know I have good benefits and just everything like that for essentially a social media small company, which sounds crazy. So I was really relieved to quit, but I also was a little bit nervous, and I knew that I wanted to quit teaching, but I was nervous if I had chosen the right job to do so. So that was the day I quit teaching. I was so relieved. Like, I went home, and that night me and my friends went out and we drank and celebrated, and I kind of have never felt that much relief ever. Okay, so what is my new job? My new job that I accepted a year ago and still am currently at is a social media company, and basically what we do is post places to eat, drink, things to do, cool Airbnbs, activities, like everything that's cool to do and people want to see in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Texas. Instagram and TikTok are what we do, so they're short form content. Most of the videos are like 15 to 20 seconds, so I'm filming, editing, writing captions, making cover images, stories, and all that stuff. In the last year, I have gotten to do the coolest things ever. If you guys don't follow the accounts or the company that I work for is Lovelist. So we have Dallas Lovelist, Fort Worth Lovelist, and Texas Lovelist on Instagram and TikTok. I'll link everything down below. But I've gotten to do the coolest, craziest things. Like, I've literally gotten to eat at so many new restaurants in all over the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. I've gotten to stay in the coolest Airbnbs in Austin, in West Texas, East Texas. I've gotten to do things like, what have we done? We've done so much stuff. Like, every week of work is so different. It could be an ice cream shop. We could be going to a water park. So many classes I've done, like painting classes, flower, candle making, body oil making. I've gotten to go hiking and film content. I've gotten to go glamping. Like, there's just so many cool things that I've gotten to do. Fire, what's it called? Kerning, fire making? Glass making, glass burning. I've gotten to do so many cool things. I recently went on a trip to Austin to film a lot of outdoor content. I went on a solo road trip, 11 hours drive to Big Bend, to the national park. I'm going to East Texas. There's just so many things I've gotten to do. I love my job. I love my company. It's really small. We have like 12 people, and in the last year I've gotten 2 promotions. So my current position is I manage the entire Dallas and Fort Worth pages. So I'm talking to clients, coordinating shoots, putting stuff on the calendar, and I'm also filming, editing, posting content, planning trips for Texas Lovelist. There's just so much cool stuff going on. I have learned so much from this job, and I've taken a lot of what I've learned into this job, into my personal social media, and my 1-year anniversary is coming up. I started this job on August 28th, and I truly, and I say this all the time to my friends and family and coworkers, cannot believe that this is my job. I don't know what Sunday scaries are anymore. I'm so excited to go to work. Every single week is something different. I feel like I love the creative aspect. My mind is always going. We're always collaborating and planning on what can we do better to make this video improve, and how can we shoot that and do this. And I have just never experienced being so happy in a job. I know that I'm so lucky and so blessed that this is my job, and I truly believe that the timing worked out exactly as it was meant to. Now, did I spend 2 miserable years hopelessly applying to jobs? Yes, but I feel like that just made me appreciate this job so much more. I'm so lucky to have a job that pays well. Oh, by the way, I make like 25% more than I did as a teacher, and I love my job so much. Now, it's not always rainbows and butterflies. There are moments that do get stressful, but I don't have anxiety attacks anymore. I'm not crying every single day. I'm not dreading going to work. It's just social media. It's not life or death. I am so happy in this position. I'm making more money. I'm learning new skills. I'm just doing everything that I've ever hoped and dreamed for. And let me just say that the risk was worth it. Sometimes in life you have to take risk, and quitting teaching was honestly a huge risk. Working for a small company is not as stable as a government job, as being a teacher or something more traditional. So I definitely did take a huge risk. I had lots of family members who just didn't quite understand what I was trying to do, tell me that I was making a mistake. Why would you quit teaching? What is this new job? Is it even a real job? Like, what if it doesn't work out? Like, are you even getting a real salary? Just so many doubts, a little bit from myself, a lot from other people, but the reward was worth the risk. Physically, when you quit a job that is so draining, you will feel so much better. I honestly feel like I just glow more. I'm happier. And this is not to say that every single day is perfect. I'm not saying that I don't have bad days still, because I'm human and still do, but the stress of teaching was really weighing on me so much. Since I quit teaching, I finally was able to run a full marathon. I was always so stressed out and honestly didn't believe in myself to commit to training. I quit teaching, and since then I've run 2 marathons. I'm about to do a 3rd. I've been traveling more. Oh, my new job has unlimited PTO, which is absolutely crazy. So I've been taking a lot of time to myself to just travel and explore. I feel like I'm a much more positive, happy person because I'm not always stressing about going back to school. If your dream is to be a teacher, I don't want to discourage you, but this is for people who are either stuck in teaching or stuck in a job that you really don't like. Just know that there is hope if you just keep going, keep pushing, manifest what you want your future job, your future to look like, and sometimes you have to take that risk to get the reward. What else has happened? Oh, so I did go back a couple months after and just check because I was curious. My school never suspended my teaching license even though I broke my contract, so technically I'm still a licensed teacher even though I never ever plan on going back. I think for the first couple months, I did still have like teacher scary dreams. Like, you know those dreams where you just like wake up and you're in the classroom? I definitely did get those for a couple of months. I don't think I get them now. Like, it's been a year at this point. I have not set foot back in a classroom since then. I don't think I ever plan on going back to a classroom. There's one teacher at my school that I'm friends with and still talk to. Other than that, I left that classroom. I never went back, never talked to anybody, don't care to go back. Sometimes it still feels unreal. Like, those 4 years of teaching honestly felt like a fever dream, but I am so happy where I'm at now. I think that was pretty much everything, but happy 1 year to me quitting teaching. If there's any other questions you guys have, leave them down below. I'm open and pretty much an open book to answer anything, but 1 year post quitting teaching, life has never been better. My skin is glowing. I'm running marathons, loving my job. And that is it. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Bye. This is your sign to quit teaching if you hate teaching and find a job that makes you happy.